Welcome back to Fight News Now. I'm John Pollock, and it's that time of the show where we send things over to our analysts, John Ramdian and Robin Black, as we settle into a rare break of mixed martial arts action, but never a shortage of topics, guys.
Of course, and no bigger topic right now than the re-signing of UFC welterweight Nick Diaz, one of the most polarizing figures in all of mixed martial arts. And you figure, you know, the UFC said that Nathan Diaz doesn't really move the needle. Well, Nick Diaz certainly does. Nathan does too. Don't go kidding yourself. But we got to talk about Nick Diaz. Right, I'm sure the UFC says, you know what, you can have any matchup. You want Matt Brown, you want Rory McDonald, who beat up your little brother. Yep. What matchup do you want? I want Anderson Silva when he comes back. I want to take on arguably the most dangerous man to ever step foot inside of the octagon. That's the fight that I want, which makes no sense because he bitches in the past about, you know, taking these big fights and having to get beat up and get hurt. You guys don't know what I do for a living. Then why take a fight with Anderson Silva?
Because he's crazy, number one. Number two, you know that needle, he moves the needle. He wants to break that needle off and shove it up your ass. He could give two craps about moving needles. The guy wants to go in and fight at the highest level. He wants to be challenged, and he wants to make cake and bring it back to the 209. And nothing's going to do bigger business, probably, certainly this year, and probably all of next year, unless Cain Velasquez fights Ronda Rousey or something. Nothing's going to do this kind of business, and he's going to take a piece of that pay-per-view and he's going to put it in his pocket. You know, you talk about him being crazy to fight this guy. He's also going up a weight class to do it. This is nuts. We love you, Nick Diaz. You're just everything everybody wants in a fighter. And listen, this fight, we got something to talk about now for the next 6 months, because it's 6 months off, but we're pumped.
Do you like the idea of fighters going back and forth in weight class, considering the fact that Nick Diaz is still a top talent at 170 pounds? Robbie Lawler's going to get another crack at Johnny Hendricks. Let's just say that that Robbie Lawler wins the welterweight title. Of course, you could have the rematch with Hendricks and Lawler, but you could also have a matchup with Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler, considering the fact that Nick Diaz has a stoppage win over Ruthless Robbie.
Yeah, we got to travel pretty far back in time to see it, but not if you're Robbie Lawler. That's right in the front of his brain. That's like it happened yesterday, probably. Fighters, that's the way they are. But you know what? Even if you do have to have a rematch, you go Robbie Lawler rematching Hendricks. The Diaz fight isn't for 6 months. He wouldn't be fighting for 9 months. He's doing what he wants to do. The guy's going to step in here, fight at 185 pounds, and then if he wins, he's going to go and demand a 170 fight, or he'll sit again. And you ain't letting him sit. He's going to do 800, 900,000 pay-per-views with this or more. Nick Diaz has the world as his oyster right now, and good for him.
So for Nick Diaz, he talks about being in the biggest fights. A fight with Johnny Hendricks, is that a bigger fight than, say, a fight with say Nick Diaz and Dan Henderson, considering the fact there's two huge names in the sport? Dan Henderson, of course, a legend of the sport, or Johnny Hendricks, the current welterweight champion. What is a bigger fight for Nick Diaz and for pay-per-view?
The one that pays more is a bigger fight for Nick Diaz. That's the one he wants. It's a tricky question. When you talk about guys going up and down in weight classes, it makes a lot of sense to be able to go up or down weight class for a fight that matters, for a fight that's relevant. You know, guys are talking about dropping down weight classes. Diego Sanchez all drop down and fight Conor McGregor. That would be relevant, but man, that's a tough fight. You don't want to be stepping down to do that when you're coming forward all the time and Conor McGregor's working angles. So you want to take a fight that you're going to win, a fight that is going to mean something to your career, and a fight that the audience wants. And man, tell me that there's anybody who doesn't want to see Nick Diaz and Anderson Silva.
It is going to be one of the most talked about main events in recent history. And then we flash forward to August 16th, the main event of Fight Night, I think so irrelevant that their mums aren't even going to be talking about it. Ryan Bader and Ovince St. Preux. Can you believe that this is a friggin' main event? Who in the world is going to tune into this? You look at the rest of the card, and there are some guys that kind of deserve to be higher than them. Gray Maynard's on this card, and I think he's in the second fight of the night. It really doesn't make sense. Neither one of these guys are super entertaining. Why are they in the main event?
You know what? I think when you look at the last couple of months, we've seen amazing fights. We've seen amazing fight cards. When the UFC says, if you don't want to watch everyone, don't watch them, they mean this one, I think. This is the one they're talking about. If you're a fan of technical stuff, if you like wrestling, but when you go and you look, hey, we've had 8 great ones. We've had 8 killer ones. Jim Miller and Cerrone, you like that? Oh, you like the Conor McGregor one? Don't watch this one. And I think this is when that concept works. You got so much good stuff going going on. You can't watch fights every single Saturday night. Go ahead and take it off. Personally, I kind of like this fight, but then again, and I know you're talking about the common audience as well, because you like every fight the same way I do. This is still interesting. Can Ovince and Preux shut down Bader, who likes to work off that left hook to the double leg takedown? There's an old school element to it. There's a technical element to it. It's still an interesting fight, but can you sell it?
And that becomes the problem. Can you sell this fight with two guys that have wrestling bases, not really known for their finishing ability? Especially, I mean, you look at the matchup, I don't know if either one is going to be able to finish the other, because they're so evenly matched. And I think over 5 rounds, we're going to get a dull affair.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Sometimes these guys surprise you. Bader is a guy, him and Clarence Byron, his training partner, Dalloway, they are making progress. Dalloway
sure.
is looking exciting. Now, if Bader's going that route, he wants to finish. But even Bader comes out, he lands that nasty left hook of his, he's pivoting nicely. Even all that happens. I mean, what do you got to look forward to? Then chances are you get to fight Anthony Johnson. That's what you have.
And that's what I'm talking about. You look at the 205-pound division. You have Cormier, you have Anthony Johnson, you have Gustafsson. If you want Vitor there, Vitor will be there. Really a solid weight division, but to have Ryan Bader and Ovince St. Preux as your main event, come on, aren't you trying to attract people to the division?
Quick prediction, on the Monday after that fight, we're going to be raving about that fight.
Let's hope so. That's the best part about this sport.
My question is, with this event taking place in Bangor, Maine, how many puns are we going to get that week? Bangor. Thank you very much, guys. And for more with John and Robin, they go 5 rounds each Monday night at 7 Eastern here on Fight Network. We'll take a break, and coming back on the other side, we'll have Priscilla Caripan taking you to the San Diego Comic-Con and another viral video as Fight News Now continues.
Do a practice kit.